Okay, we're actually in the grand finals already. Okay, Roddy made it. We're good. Bottom right of Berlingrad, we have ShoWTimE. Top left, it is Reynor. So another PVZ here. Reynor beat Neeb 2-0. ShoWTimE beat a Laser 2-0. Both fairly quick PVZs. And they were very quick to doing the vetoes. So lickety split into the best of 5 grand finals. One of the few Open Cups where the semifinals included no Terrans. If I had to guess, there's 20 Open Cups where there was no Terran and in the finals, and then 5 Open Cups where there was no Terran in the semifinals. If I had to guess, this is the 118th Open Cup, I believe. So, of course I am totally guessing. But the point is, you just usually have a Terran because you usually have Hero Marine. If you didn't have Hero Marine, then you had Clem. And that was going to cover you most of the time to the semifinals at the very least. Occasionally, some other Terran would show up. I can't think of too many else ones. Like, Euthermal occasionally plays, but not that much. Spirit may have gotten to 1 or 2 semifinals. I don't think Kelazur has. I'm sure I'm forgetting another Terran who might have made it to the semifinals, but usually Clem and Hero Marine's dependable enough. They were in this Open Cup. They did not make it. They got kicked out in the round of 8. So it's just a very unique finals. Especially as Reynor is not commonly found in the Open Cup, but when he does play, he is usually in the finals. Alright. So, ShoWTimE was displaying basically, well, he went for a 2 Oracle opener one game, 3 Oracle on another. I'm still suspicious that the 2 Oracle opener game was because he messed up so badly on some of the build that he was like, never mind, I can't afford this. Can't know for certain though. But look at this. Reynor gets 6 lings right off the bat. That was already a little suspicious. Now in 8 lings in total, or 10. But he's making more. I have not been counting, but he's making more lings. That means we're going to have a 2 base all-in. So, ShoWTimE. Is he going to be anticipating this? He has not seen anything super suspicious as of yet. What he does see is that an unusual insistence on the Zerg player's 3rd base. No. Okay, that's actually legitimate. By unusual insistence, I mean just that the lings would usually have already been over here, like moving the probe away. So that might have been a little suspicious. Like, where were your first 2 lings if they weren't coming over here to make sure you got your 3rd base up and running? But it looks like ShoWTimE is not suspicious. Nope, not at all. Lings are getting into the nade. It's not really an all-in, though. I mean, he makes 16 lings, which is quite a lot in the early game. But this was not a speedling all-in. It still is going to do some pretty significant damage. Adept over here on Reynor's side of the map. Not going to get equalizing damage. Decent last-second survival, though. Like, ShoWTimE only loses 4 probes. Keeps the Adept alive as well. Lost the 1 Adept on the other side of the map, I guess. But still, I feel like that could have been worse. I feel like that could have been 4 probes and the Adept killed. Then the probes don't block off this wall. Then these lings get in, and the Oracle would pop its Pulsar Beam and save the day. For sure, but it just would have been more chaos. I also see a world where the Adept lives, but 8 probes die instead, so... Just saying, that could have been worse.
Twitch Prime sub received.
Thank you, Stelio Cantos, for the 2-month resub. So double Oracle now. Will we get triple? Need money first. We'll get back to that in a second. 2 Oracles already grabbing 3 drones. Successfully living 2. That's nice. That's nice. Shield battery in the natural is actually playing it pretty safe. The shield battery is going down. I would actually maybe even think 3rd base on natural. little suspicious, perhaps, of Reynor just continuing to make oddly timed lings and just sending them across the map. So no 3 Oracle openers. This was very much a... I mean, this is another opener where it didn't go quite according to plan. Maybe that is the thing that he changes when the openers don't work out so well. But regardless, it's literally 2 different types of openers. It's not like he always goes triple Oracle. And these 2 Oracles so far doing a great job. In total, what now? 5 drones killed? If both of them live, that is a great job for an Oracle. Robotics Bay is already on the way too. So I was suspicious of the last game before I realized that ShoWTimE had no extra static defense up and running against a laser's 2, or not 2 base all-in, 3 base all-in. But I was wondering about the fast Robotics Bay. And I was like, oh, does he know a laser's gonna do a queen walk? No, he didn't. He was actually gonna open up with a pretty fast disruptor drop. And then he realized what was going on. And then slapped down a bunch of static defense, so on and so forth. So he's doing the same build on the same map. Reynor is not doing the laser build. He's not queen walking. So ShoWTimE will actually get to show us what exactly this build entails, how exactly you play it out. Disruptor drop later on. Then perhaps you'd see from like a Zound build, who does it on 2 base and follows it up with Colossus push. But nonetheless, the disruptor drop. Well, we'll double check that actually. Maybe the disruptor being produced was the change. And he actually wanted a Colossus here. Or he wants nothing at all. Dark Shrine goes down instead? I am confused. I am confuzzled. That's it. Eh? Okay, Disruptor does go down. He's certainly banking enough gas. Is he gonna open more sentries? Is he gonna use the DTs as Archons? DPs don't cost as much gas as a High Templar, but it's still a lot. It's 150 versus 125. That's almost 900 gas. It's not... Huh. It still feels like ShoWTimE changed his build slightly, depending on what he saw. I'm not sure what he saw that made him so eager to change his mind. Or maybe I'm looking too much into it. I don't know, but 900 gas... I want to say especially for a Protoss player, okay? This is where I'm going to compliment a Protoss player more than I do the other races. I feel like Protoss players are the most attentive to their gas in all respects. Both as like their opener and like getting those like probes pulled off at the right time for their really epic 2-base all-in, you know, man? But also as far as spending the gas later on, it's not that they're attentive, it's just that a lot of their units are gas intensive, so it's not that hard to spend it. Whereas Terra players, if they're on 3 base all landing with 6 gases and they eventually bank 800 gas, you're like, Terrans, silly boys. So this is, anyways. DT's finally morphed in. He is going to use them as Archons. All right. That is going to use up the gas pretty quickly. Mutas, though, speaking of gas units, the Mutas were on the production tab. I was still freaking out about the gas count. Mutas are a huge surprise. ShoWTimE had no idea, and he was actually trying to scout. The Oracles are flying through, hallucinations are flying through, all denied access to see that spire, and absolutely nothing is at home to defend. Reynor might have just won, because ShoWTimE, this little push is totally legit. When back at home he has 4 bases, and he can just kind of pull away at any given time. Oh my god, that disruptor shot, though! That gives it a little more hope, but I don't think it's going to be enough. But what I was going to say is that now it's an all-in. Now you can't just go home and be like, oh, you know, I made the Zerg player not make enough drones. Gotcha. Like, you have to win right now. The Mutas are doing way too much damage. You're still dealing damage, in fact. GG. GG. Surprise mutas suck. Surprise mutas can make any player look like they were playing poorly. But the rest of the game from ShoWTimE still looked a bit wonky. Maybe it's a new build that he's experimenting with, so it's not quite lined up perfectly. I don't know. Teo was doing bets earlier on, but I see that he has left, so I can start a bet. Obviously, not the best timed bets possible, but still. All right, best of 5 with Reynor up 1-0. 2,000 atmospheres now. Bottom left ShoWTimE. Top right it is Reynor. So yeah, Reynor he's got the mutas. Makes ShoWTimE look a little silly. But otherwise, ShoWTimE's build didn't really seem to be lined up perfectly. You know, I was harping on the gas, maybe a little bit too much. I mean, it would be the first time that a Protoss player banged like 700 gas and then warped in High Templars, right? Or in his case, Dark Templars. But it was the timing of it that made me think that it was a response, because the robotics bay finished, and you think, timing, perfect pro gamer sense. Immediately they start the Colossus or the Disruptor, something that benefited from having the Robo Bay. And instead, a Dark Shrine got thrown down. It feels very much like a response, a change of mind, a reaction, whatever. So, you know, beyond that, it seemed like a pretty lined up build order and all that good stuff. But, yeah. The mutas were pretty deadly. The mutas make the attack an all-in. And when the Protoss player can't take their sweet time, they're not going to have a good time. Reynor gets a super easy victory. Feels good, man. Feels good. Not for ShoWTimE. Not for me. I'll let my bias show through for an open cut. Hoping ShoWTimE looks utterly dominant so that he'll win all of our Civil War matches as well. So far, ShoWTimE, the only undefeated member of the Grub-a-Dub-Dubs. Fortunately, Hero Marine has had a stomach flu. I guess stomach flu, food poisoning, I don't know what, but was really sick the day before Sunday, so Saturday. But we played on Sunday, so he was still pretty sick then too. And I'm guessing he still doesn't feel so hot today, so that might have influenced his loss against a laser. Might have. A laser's beat him before though. It's not totally surprising. Again, Reynor starting off with 6 lings, but not adding any more. Okay, so not the same opener. Oh, well, it's actually already 10 lings, actually. Well, it's 2 adepts, so that makes sense. This is a response to the adepts. And it's a good response as well, as they get a full wraparound on the already weakened adept. This one is also going to get surrounded. It does end up being 4 drone kills. For 2 adepts, that's still not ideal. But it is 4 drones plus more lings produced on the Zerg side, so there's always that to consider. So maybe it's actually okay. Oracle stays at home to deal with the lings he figured was going to come across the map. Totally right about that. Third base will get up afterwards. And second Oracle. And a third Oracle. Alright. Triple Oracle opener this time. So I guess this seems to more typically lead into a Blink Stalker opener, where he pushes over to the right side. That's what he did versus a laser on this exact map, and it was quite successful, even though it didn't look like it was going to be very successful. A laser played a less than perfect Zerg game, where he didn't do the stop droning at the exact right moment, build army, then go back to droning. He started his army a bit later, had a little trouble, then he didn't go back to droning because he was actually all-inning, but his all-in hit kind of late, and it was not very powerful, whatever. Point is, ShoWTimE does the exact same thing in this game, which he's already not. He's actually opening up with a Robo instead of a Twilight Council. Well, following up with a Robo, I should say. I don't think Reynor is going to make the same mistake. I don't think he's going to do the same build. I think he'll be totally better for Reynor. But it's a different follow-up. So not Forge and Twilight Council. It gets you right in a blink or charge. But Forge, Robo, then Twilight Council. The emphasis on the Robo initially is usually an indicator that they're going to go into the actual Robo units. So Robotics Bay, I guess, also going to come down. So this is similar, but not identical to last game. Because triple Oracle instead of 2 Oracle. Adepts so far not finding any open avenue are actually going to get recalled out. They knew they had no escape. The Lings were on the tail of the Shades. It's a good save on a decent number of army units. It is going to be charged first, actually. So the Robo coming out first is kind of just a little odd. Usually, I feel like it's usually a Twilight Forge, then Robo. So maybe he was a bit worried about some type of mid-game attack. I mean, the Queen All-In is still being attempted. It's being changed either with Nidus Worm or with Overlords coming across the map. So sometimes that could be a Robo first prioritized. Forge for sack defense, Robo, Immortal, and then perhaps into Disruptors like last game. But no. This time around it is right into that charge. Charge Archon it is then. Looks like we lost an Oracle at some point. Double hallucination this time. That might have been ShoWTimE's one of his biggest mistakes, funnily enough, last game, besides the gas and the Dark Shrine timing and whatever. This might have been his biggest mistake when I wasn't looking super attentively, but I don't know if he always double halluced. I only saw one hallucinated Phoenix in that last game. Usually it is 2, but if his Protoss player just used force fields or didn't warp in as many sentries or something like that, they might only use 1. Double is usually what you want to do. And hopefully they actually get back to the actual back lines. They don't see a Spire because it wasn't put down yet. The lair had finished, yes, but Reynor delayed the addition of the Spire by 15-20 seconds. Now ShoWTimE is going to need a further hallucinated scouts. It's really the only thing that's dependable to get it back in there. And since he only has 2 sentries with this build, right into these Archons for this charge attack, he's not going to have the hallucinations. What he is going to have is Archons and Zealots already knocking on Reynor's front door. So that is a trade-off that looks to be benefiting ShoWTimE currently. We'll talk about that Spire if Reynor actually survives, but I'm not sure that he is. One Archon gets targeted down, second one looking to also be targeted down, but in the process, those charge lots got nice and comfy on top of those roaches and sliced and diced and just killed every single one. They're still chasing them down, in fact, and Reynor is just underprepared for this defense. He does have some Lings getting into the natural, killing off some probes, but ShoWTimE still has the Warp Prism up, still looking at the 4th base kill. But another Archon just got popped. The Immortal doesn't have its shield. That Warp Prism actually goes out of siege mode. This is suddenly not turning out so well for ShoWTimE. Reynor just needed 10 extra seconds to have those roaches pop and support him. And that was something he was given. Now, ShoWTimE did get that last-second kill on the hatchery, but it's such a high cost of his army supply. That's a little scary. 3 Archons finish up in the nick of time, but Reynor thinks he's got an opportunity. I think he's right about that. There's no shield battery at this 4th base quite yet. 3 Archons are impressive when they actually get their shots off. They're not so impressive when they can be kited, when they can be focus fired down. ShoWTimE needs more army and needs it stat. Reynor's not even going to be happy just going for that 4th base. He sends roaches into the natural and heads towards the 3rd. Now that is where a shield battery lies. That's going to be harder to break. I do think the guaranteed success would be killing this 4th base, but Reynor wants to do more. And doing more, he might be getting a little bit greedy, but Stalkers get warped in, actually get destroyed. More charge lots come in. There you go, and the Immortal popped out too. So that does clean up the natural, and the Archons are still left alive. 2 Immortals still alive too. Reynor was doing a lot of not killing anything for a while there, funnily enough. So ShoWTimE could actually build up all of those really important good units. And now he's getting some serious revenge. The back and forth continues. ShoWTimE having an army, also having all 4 bases. Because again, Reynor might have had the easy call, the safe call, and kill the 4th Nexus. But I said, great, now we're back on 4 versus 3. Didn't want that, thought he could go for more. And I guess that is a mistake he's going to regret. Similar position. I'm getting deja vu. Warp Prism is a little bit close for comfort to those Ravagers, and it is being used to actually micro the Archons currently. It looks like that 4th base is going to go down again, and that's something that ShoWTimE can totally be happy with, right? The last time the 4th base went down, it was still a little sketch because he gave away so much army to do it. But this time around, especially if he saves those Archons, he's got the Immortals, he's got the Warp Prism, and his 4th base is actually just officially done. It's actually getting probes on it. Reynor could have lived with 1 kill on his 3rd base, rather 4th base, a while ago. A 4th base being killed at 10.5 minutes, with ShoWTimE now probing up his own 4th. The Zerg player is not going to live for very long. Alright, 72 drones, not at all mining to their fullest capability for Reynor. So he's not going to be able to afford enough Roach Ravager to kill what is going to soon be 6 Archons and 4 Immortals. Reynor can kite all he wants, he can focus fire all he wants, but actually killing the Protoss, who is set up defensively, even without these shield batteries, I think ShoWTimE was already going to be okay. If Reynor could have reinforced with 40 more supply, different story. Still doable for the Protoss in my opinion, but different story. But with an only 30 supply difference instead of 60 or 70, the Protoss should be having a good time with their current composition, especially with +2 having been done for a couple of these fights as well. So Reynor, I think he's just trying to get what he can get, which so far is not much. Not even quite getting that 1 Immortal with the shield batteries all finishing up. And it looks like he's just going to all in. Is this going to work? Good question. I don't know. He does have the 4th base up and running again. 71 drones finally maximizing their profit. And a 5th base is also on the way. So Reynor is trying to recover. But he knows that if he ever actually... if he basically loses this fight right here, right now, he'll kind of loses the game. There's actually not much to retreat to. So at some point, he was almost puffing up his feathers saying, yeah, you can't break this. Don't worry. Just stay back on your side of the map because I'm really scary. And he actually isn't really all that scary. You let Reynor be on 5 bases, he's going to remax over and over again, and fair enough for a Zerg player, but Reynor is in no mood to actually take direct fights. He's in no position to take direct fights. So as he tries here, it's all a matter of micro keeping him alive so far. And ShoWTimE's going to continue adding on cotton balls, continue improving on his own economy, and continuing to warp in zealots as he pleases. So apparently some of them just killed that 5th base. The backup base is this one. Is once again in ShoWTimE sights. The only thing missing from ShoWTimE, funnily enough, is maybe some force fields. The force fields obviously get broken, but... and it's not even good to get force fields here, just to be clear. It's just... when you are still not killing a Zerg player in this position, you're just like, for the love of God, just let me freaking hit you. Okay, because that is the only thing that's going against ShoWTimE right now, is that a lot of his units have T-Rex arms. So the Roach Ravager micro is still in a, an opportunity for the Zerg player to outplay the Protoss player. It really is. The best thing a Protoss player can do with this composition is mostly a move. There's nothing more to be done. Microing the Warp Prism to hop the Mortals forward or something, that's cool. But that's, other than that, not much micro with a Mortal Archon. So, force fields, they give you like 3 seconds of shooting with your full army. Feels good, man. Overall, the sentries aren't really worth it. This army, the Protoss, is 100%, 110%, 200% supposed to win this freaking battle. It has +1 shields now, man. Like, it is supposed to have already won. And all it was missing was some way to get these Ravagers to stop freaking kiting them. Some Zealots are finally added in to get a couple of the pot shots. If he could only get behind the Ravagers, that would seal the deal. And the Warp Prism did hop some of those Immortals forward. We also had another attempted attack from Reynor on the left side, hoping that ShoWTimE was maybe horse blinders, totally unaware that there was something other than this fight. Not the case. ShoWTimE identified it very fast. Seems to have lost absolutely nothing on his 3rd base. And ShoWTimE even continues to expand with his attack, so it's pretty safe, basically. His 5th base should be pretty safe. The same cannot be said for Reynor, who took a very, very bold 5th base. For his position, for a Zerg player, that was bold. You ain't getting away with that. Nuh-uh. Another Roach attack over to that 3rd base, and this time ShoWTimE is less prepared. Had a bit of an Artosis pylon, and the 1 Immortal is not going to cut it. But can ShoWTimE finally push through and kill this Ravager? Absolutely. The Ravager isn't even kiting anymore. And 100%, This is a battle the Protoss will win. Reynor either looking away for a second or thinking he actually was going to be able to defend. I'm not sure if he ever thought the latter. Seems pretty clear to me the Ravagers wouldn't win if they were backs up against a wall, but this is finally going to do it. A little bit of Why Won't You Die? But even though Reynor kept on coming, kept on building up an impressive Ravager count, which I think always scares a Protoss. They're like, yeah, I'm winning, right? And then suddenly, it's not just 30 Roaches, it's 30 Ravagers. You're like, am I winning? ShoWTimE still had the better army. GG. Lobby's getting set up now. Holy shit. Our house phone, which is lol. You know, house phones. It has like 10 rings before it finally quiets down. Ay, ay, ay. Oh my god. Someone sent me an email via my website. It's quite a doozy. Hi, can we please stop calling players off their login names? Stop calling players off their login names. When I first came to StarCraft 2, some talked about Big Gabe, and it took me quite a while to realize who the Big Gabe is. There are new players watching, they don't know what's going on when you commentators don't call players by their login names. Really like you, your natural look, Elite 10, sexy kisses. Oh, people. Get into the introductions and then talk more about that. All tied up now in the best of 5. Bottom right, Reynor. Top left, it is ShoWTimE. Where did I get that StarCraft flask? Oh, good question. I think I got it when I went to the StarCraft Remastered Summit. Before StarCraft Remastered was released, they invited a bunch of people to the summit for it. RIP is truly RIP. So I got like a hoodie and this water bottle and a bag. I got like a tote bag and a backpack or something like that. Thanks, Roddy. Link versus Mass Rank Ling Ravager. Well, the charge lots can sometimes be even worse than the Archon Immortal Dilemma. Sometimes they're enough to get the punish on some of that kiting, because they guarantee one hit, right? Because they charge. So they guarantee charge once, they get a hit on the Ravager, they go, ha-ha, and then they die. That's the issue. So you can try and spam charge lots against a Ravager player. And if the Ravager player is any good and they're actually microing, then it's just a net gain for them. Because yeah, the charge lots might contribute to the death of 3 or 4 roaches, but only after you spent like 16 zealots attempting to do so. Yeah, that message though. So first of all, please don't call anyone like sexy, alright? Just don't. I don't know, it just seems like a general rule to me. Unless you're in a relationship with them, please no. Second of all, I really, like this, believe it or not, this is my second of all. Okay, I'll get to a third of all. But second of all, I really don't understand people who choose to email for non-important matters, kind of. Like, emails to me aren't sacred. But when people email me and they're just like, hey, you're cool, I'm just like, why an email? It's, you know what it is? It's almost like the modern day equivalent of trying to write a letter. Okay, so in the 90s, if you wrote a letter, people would go, wow, you put a lot of effort into that, just send me an email next time. In the 2020s, if you send me an email, I would respond with, okay, just next time send me like a tweet or like in my Twitch chat or something. Like, what are you doing? So there's my second of all. Third of all, I really don't think you have any influence over how to say, like, community lingo, I guess. So if you, what I'm trying to say is, like, when you get into a new scene, a new game, new sport, new community of any type, you actually don't get to request the whole community to stop something. You actually don't. Now, what you can do is say, hey, I'm really confused. Who is this? And then you get told, and then you get it on the joke, and you feel like you're part of the team. Or you can say, hey, I wonder if this is really good for new people. You know, maybe you should always say Big Gabe, aka Hero Marine, and maybe that'd be better. And then we can have a conversation about it, right? I would not agree with you in that conversation, but we could have it. But just being like, stop it. It's bad. It's not, okay? You might as well ask StarCraft commentators to stop saying natural. Or to stop saying speedlings, you know, when actually they're just zerglings with the speed upgrade. Excuse you. What other upgrades do we call not by their names? Because we're actually quite good about that, in my opinion. We don't call a lot of their upgrades by their names. This is the Tempest upgrade. Please refer to it as Tectonic Destabilizers. I think it's really confusing when new players can't just figure out what a caster is talking about compared to when they hover over their game and their own upgrade. Thank you. It's like, no, you don't get to request that. Like, get fucking used to it. Get part of the community. Good lord. You think I go over to the Dota community, don't know what the fuck they're talking about as far as all their darn items, and be like, excuse me, if you could just explain every single item every single time you talk about it, that would be so, but that would be so nice. Like, really. Like, no. And if you do get so overwhelmed by, you know, a community's lingo and you're just like, I really can't follow it, this is too hard, well, that happens. Anyways, there's my rant. We've covered the first 5 minutes of game number 3. This is actually kind of an interesting conversation, particular roasting of this guy aside. Because I remember being just really quite proud of learning some of these things when I first got into StarCraft. They made such an impression on me when I finally learned things in StarCraft that I remember it even though it was 12 years ago. But like when I first learned what a natural was, I didn't get mad because I had to figure out what a natural was. I was happy because suddenly I actually was a part of the community. I talked their language, you know? So when someone is so, I don't know, arrogant, maybe? As to come into a space and be like, accommodate for me. Me specifically. I'm like, no. And I know he said new players in general, but yeah, it's still roughly the same. It's like we can only compensate so much. It's also a bit on the responsibilities of the viewer to be like, I need to figure out what that means. I'll ask a question. Alright. We actually had a big ol' attack on the way, which I was not hyping up whatsoever, but clearly Reynor coming across the map at this point. Creep spread a little over halfway across the map, so he will be missing some transfuses, but at least one Overlord is here. That's only one. I was thinking he'd bring another. Here we go. More Overlords are on the way. ShoWTimE does already have some static defense finishing, however, and that I feel already doesn't bode well for the Zerg player, but let's see how this works out. Decent number of Ravagers to actually kill a lot of these units. The Queens might not be killing particularly quickly, but especially with the Sentries, they'll kill them fast enough. And otherwise, they are able to provide those transfuses. Actually, at this point, the Sentries feel utterly useless. 3 of them, great. 6 of them? No. And he's already lost half of them anyways. So another Guardian Shield could be popped, but not even prioritizing that right now. There we go. Trying to get whatever damage he can without actually entering the jaws of the beast. Last time ShoWTimE moved forward with the whole blob of his army, he got punished pretty hard. That time around, I think he was looking for a couple of fights he could actually win. So he took down some Ravagers up to the top side. Now he's going to take on the Queens on the right. They are mostly out of transfuses, but ShoWTimE's also mostly out of army. GG. And the army that ShoWTimE had when he first engaged was like majority Sentries. They weren't killing anything really. What was it, 6 or 8 Sentries, I want to say, that just didn't contribute. I want that guy to send an email to Tastosis and to plead to them to stop saying bubbulous. And then to also call them sexy, XOXO. Old Bismilliard, thank you for the 32 months. Hope the game's been fun to cast. Yeah, fun enough. I guess dude emailed because he's already banned on Twitch. That's possible. Because they want something to be private? Okay, that is a pretty valid excuse for emailing someone. So it's not in the public eye. I would still say, though, unless that it was actually a matter of personal privacy. Like if they were emailing something like, hey, I live in this address and I was wondering if there's a StarCraft 2 tournament around here or something like that. And I'd be like, oh, that kind of makes sense. I got hosts, so I didn't realize it. We're going now though. We're going now. But yeah, something like a comment that's not private. Don't email me. There was actually a pretty... I will say, though, that there was at least one funny email I got from a guy. He was drunk, apparently, and he was a fan, but it was actually kind of a nice email. Because even though he was drunk, he was like, I just think you're really cool, and you've made my life better since watching your videos, and I know that sounds kind of weird, but I just want to know that you're really cool. And I'm drunk, so sorry, but yeah. Like, something like that. And I was like, aw. That's fine. If he had been like, I just think that you're so sexy and I love you. Haha, I'm drunk. That would not have been fine. Top right, Reynor. Bottom left, ShoWTimE. ShoWTimE now in his last life. After getting kind of bopped by the queen all in. Had a lot of hope when I saw the sack defense finish, but then he actually saw his army try to engage and it was a big old bag of nope. His army could not kill anything. What's wrong with being hit on via email? Oh my god. This just confirms my suspicion that part of being a Twitch streamer is also being a elementary school teacher that's specifically trying to teach kids social situations, you know? Like, no, you shouldn't point and stare. That's rude. No, you can't just kiss every person you meet because your parents kiss you on the cheek. Like, no, you can't do that. I swear I spend at least 10% of my time on Twitch explaining how something is or is not cool. And maybe you'd say some of these things aren't not cool. They're okay. I just argue, well, better to play on the side of safety if there's a total stranger, right? So, total stranger, should I tell them that they're sexy? They probably won't like it. So I'm just not gonna do it. No idea what the lurker Hydra upgrades are actually called. You know, I don't think I know the Hydra upgrades are called either, actually. Grooved Spines is the range, I think. Yeah, this the speed one? I'm not sure. Anabolic synthesizer? I don't know. I'm about to get drunk emails from people. Did I ever tell you guys? I haven't told this story in public, at least not often. Maybe I've told it by now, because this was like 7 years ago at this point. This is at least back when I was on Base Rate TV, I'm pretty sure. But I didn't actually talk about it publicly or make fun of this guy, because I actually thought that he did it... It was kind of weird, but he did it in a really polite way, I guess. So I didn't really want to make fun of him. I didn't want to, like, you know, make him feel bad. But now I'll do it, because hopefully he's not watching right now. One time, like 6 years ago, someone sent me a boyfriend application. That was a story I was telling my friends as it happened, actually. It was like my friends and I were out getting dinner, and I opened my email, and there's, like, the title, I think, of the email was boyfriend application. You're saying, oh, the guy emailed you saying, I want to apply to be your boyfriend, LOL. No. Guy literally sent me, I guess, what can be found on the internet, which is a form, like 4 pages, and it's called boyfriend application, and it has kind of like, you know, fake, like, legalese in it and stuff, and then it has, like, qualities. So you're kind of filling out, like, a job application, except that it's a boyfriend application. And you're like, oh, that's a bit weird, but, you know, maybe it can be cute to some people. And like I said, I didn't think it was that weird. I chuckled and I was like, that's a bit weird. Oh, he's killing some creep tumor. Pretty sure that wasn't on purpose. But the weirdest thing about this boyfriend application, as we watch Adepts and Oracles swoop on in, was that he gave me 2 measurements when he was, you know, asked for height. And the other thing was that he straight up admitted to being a cuck. So he didn't mind if I traveled and slept with other guys. So... that's what made it, worthy, you know? But otherwise, he was kind of like... I don't know. Well-spoken. In his application, so I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna make fun of this guy. I'll hold off on telling this story to my stream. Here we are 6 years later. What has happened in this game? I don't know. Adepts tried, Oracles tried. Are any of them successful? By the looks of things, they are somewhat successful. 11 drones have been killed. ShoWTimE has a drone worker lead. That's pretty good for Protoss right now. Loses an Oracle. Grabs 4 more drones. Not the worst, I guess. I hope you enjoy my stories, guys. Was there a cover letter? There was not. I think he also offered to give references to past partners, relationship partners. It was interesting. They have a CV attached. Alright, this little push. I actually don't know how good it is on this map. This doesn't seem like it'd be the best on a map like this. Generally, it's a really good push if you can find a very good choke, or even kind of like on Blackburn, you go behind the gold-based mineral lines. But this isn't really clever in any particular way. You do just kind of push and hope that they undermade Roach Ravager, or it's out of position, or the Ravagers aren't made, so the force fields are really, really good, or anything like that. None of that occurred. None of that occurred. So ShoWTimE just has to back away. But it is something that he's totally willing to do. It's not like he needs that to do a bunch of damage. Queens are on the front lines, but it's not actually going to be another queen pool, guys. We were up to 78 drones, going up to 88, actually. Reynor on 4 bases. Ling, Baneling, Ravager. First stop, Mutas. Maybe going to build 8 to 10 Mutas and then just remax. Or max otherwise. On Ling, Baneling, Ravager. Warp Prism setting up, though.
The enemy has discovered us.
That actually, maybe best case scenario, drops off its cargo on the main, and then the mutas are used to deal with that. So ShoWTimE has time to build whatever he needs on his static defense. Apparently, he's already defaulting to building static defense in his mineral line, so he doesn't actually see the Spire, but he's like, you know what, just in case. And that is a correct call. 12 mutas are actually on the way. If he starts a +1 air, I wonder if he'll double down on them. I don't know if he really should later in a PvZ, but... Warp Prism does drop off its cargo and then some. Warps in a couple more Zealots. It's getting choked up right now, but they are a huge distraction. So ShoWTimE actually moves us up to the left side, and... Disruptor shots not going to get some amazing hits, are great at creating space. In a way, they're kind of like force fields, but even deadlier. And I think ShoWTimE is maybe... well, I don't know if he's won with this 1-2 punch, but he has put himself in a very good winning position. He's on 4 bases. And he just killed Reynor's 5th. Killed a handful of drones, by the looks of things. And of course knows about the mutas, which he's already well defended against anyways. And this Phoenix production, I think, is only a just in cases. Just in case this guy does do something weird, like double down on mutas 10 minutes into a PvZ. But actually, I think ShoWTimE will not maybe even produce from the 2nd Stargate. He'll have it. But he might stop at 3 Phoenix once he sees the muta count hasn't grown. We'll see about that. If he was really worried about mass muta, maybe he'd get a fleet beacon. And now I think ShoWTimE really has control over the game. He spent his bank, but still on 4 bases, very reliable. Income, got Zealots once again in the main base, and this time them being choked up is favorable, as there's no roaches supporting these Lings. So +1 melee Lings against +2 of those Zealots. And oh, Bailing Speed's not quite done. Last second split from Reynor, though, saves some of them. And these cannons aren't even going down. Phoenix actually might die, funnily enough, not being controlled. But they don't really have to be controlled. Far more important is the front lines, which ShoWTimE is gonna win. GG. Coming for StarCraft State for the stories. Oh yeah. You get so many stories. Kind of forgot about that one. Just popped into my head. Every so often, someone brings it up. We're at like a party or something, and they're like, "Didn't you have this thing happen?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's right, I did." And then they're like, "Do you still have do you still have it?" And I'll be like, "Maybe." And then I think it's on Discord. I think I shared it with the people I was with at the time. So 2 of my friends from like elementary school. And then I shared it with like 3 of my esports friends. They thought it was amazing. They loved it. Thankfully, Discord apparently saves everything. Okay, I was way off on the timeline, by the way. Way off on the timeline. Wow, way more off than I thought. I could have sworn this was way before COVID. It's actually not. Well, hopefully the guy's not paying attention anyways. Anyway, I filled out a dating application for the memes if you wanted to check it out. Well, you know, he admitted it. Just reliving the glory of when I told people about this. So, okay, before I get into this game, I forgot, like, one of the best things about that whole, like, cuck thing, alright? I forgot the best thing about it is that it was kind of slipped in amongst, like, other totally normal things to say. So under, like, likes or something like that, under likes, it said, "I like walking on the beach, I'm a beta cuck, and I love reaching things on top shelves for you." What was that? I'm tall. What was the other thing before that? Beaches. Oh, the other thing. Good times. Anyways, we are getting into the last game of the grand finals. It's 2-2. Bottom left, it is Reynor. Bottom right, it is ShoWTimE. And ShoWTimE had a really well-played game last game. I really don't know about Reynor's choice to go for the mutas at that time. To be fair, I don't actually remember when they popped out in the third game. The third game, easy peasy with the mutas. Easy peasy. But in the fourth game, even if they had gone undefended, I'm not sure it still would have been all that catastrophic for ShoWTimE. Reynor's mutas in the previous game was like early enough with ShoWTimE being out of position that it was instantly creating this awkward moment. But ShoWTimE wasn't really so out of position. I don't think he would have been able to recover. He wasn't so dedicated that he would have had to just go, oh, okay, well, I guess I have to all in. But yeah, Reynor was probably hoping for the same effect. Those mutas do get into the probe lines. They instantly kill 24 probes. They kind of rattle ShoWTimE, make him kind of go, I don't know, should I attack, should I not, I don't know. And yeah, they do a lot of damage in that way. But no doubt about it, the mutas did not end up doing what they wanted last game. They were maybe a bit later. They were already defended against, because really against a non-mass amount of mutas, a shield battery and a cannon goes a really long way. And Reynor had already taken some damage. He was already struggling a little bit more than in the previous game. So I don't know if Reynor's going to be now officially deterred from going mutas, but it is Blackburn. I feel like we see a spire on this map often enough. The Stargate opener from ShoWTimE. I'm not really expecting much more. I mean, it's nice that we're not going to have as many Void Ray openers. Because unfortunately, Void Rays, while they're not a super simple unit, well, they're not a boring unit, as in they have no downsides, and they fit into this role perfectly, whatever. They are boring in that I don't think that they create much drama, much back and forth. They kind of just do their thing. Anyways, the Stargate is still far too good of a structure to get to not get it here. Anything else besides the Stargate puts the Protoss player in a far more dedicated position. So I'd love if a Twilight Council opener was more of like a, hey, I'm gonna get this, and then we're still gonna play a 3-base game. We Gucci. But it's not. If you go for a Twilight Council opener, you gotta do something with it. Resonant Glaives, Dark Shrine, Charge All In, whatever. Robo unit, same situation, really. Go for a Robo first. You're definitely planning on doing something. Stargate's the only thing that the Protoss has to cover all their bases, quite literally, in this case. As well as harass, as well as threaten, so on and so forth. Which, I mean, still puts us in a very kind of boring early game for PvZ. But, I don't know what you're gonna do. Right now, I do believe TVP to be the most fun matchup because of its strong identity in the early, mid, and late game. I feel like there's a lot of things that change up the early game and not in kind of like really, oh, I guess that's really important, great ways. When it's like, okay, does it ever truly affect these things? Like, literally, there are Protoss openers that can kill the Terran. There are Terran proxies that are still very legitimate and can just totally move on into a macro game. Factory expands are legit. Yeah, so on and so forth. I don't know, PvZ, just kind of skip right forward to that mid-game, don't you? Feels like 80% of the time you're skipping right towards that mid-game. But anyways, once again, we have the faster Robo. So one time... No, 2 times. 2 times it was made. 2 times it got a robotics bay. No, hold on. 2 times it was made, 2 times it got a robotics bay. 3rd time it was made as a priority, and then the Twilight Council came down anyways. And I thought on that game that it was going to be this. And then it was a Twilight Council, and I was like, oh, just kidding. So no, okay, this is what I thought it was going to be, which is another robotics bay. If you put the Robo down first and not the Twilight Council with that forge, just it's like on purpose, usually for some reason. And in this case, it is for the robotics bay reason. And he always gets the Warp Prism first, and that just points 100% to Disruptor drop. But the last time we saw this actually play out and not be hit by a queen all in, he actually got to what he wanted. He got a dark shrine instead. I'll be very confused. This is always a good maneuver. This is what I was describing in the previous game, which is this can be very abusive. So it's obviously not really utilizing a choke if the Zerg army gets over here or over here. The problem on Blackburn is that it takes those extra couple of seconds for the Zerg player to actually get over here, and then the Protoss player can kind of walk that way and hopefully still recover, and vice versa if they come up that north side. So the Zerg player doesn't really want to do that. They do want to just kind of say, let's go right here, right here. And that is kind of a choke again for the Protoss player. So it's a nice little move out. Love the stasis trap behind it. And then ShoWTimE gets a 4th base anyways. So he does go into Disruptors. He does get a Warp Prism with speed. And then he gets a Dark Shrine. Where is the Warp Prism? I still don't get the... He didn't even bring the Warp Prism with the attack there. I guess maybe it provides an option until he has Disruptors. Like, why not? If you're going to be waiting for Disruptors to pop out anyways. But now we have our little Disruptor drop. And Reynor is on 5 bases, 82 drones. 4 bases. His 5th only just started. And that 4th base is a gold base, but it's actually oversaturated. Quite a few drones. Someone with a gold. Double Halus. Gotta see if it's a Spire play, and there is a Spire on the way. It is going to be scouted. Hello? Did he not move the Phoenix? Oh my god. The Phoenix stopped right there. Oh no. He gets 1 Phoenix pushed by an Overseer, just bothered by the fact that it's in the main. Oh, he's actually producing Phoenix, so he's not trusting his eyes right now. He didn't see a Spire, but maybe other things that he has seen includes a not maxed out Roach Ravager army. Oh! Good Disruptor shot. 7 drones went down. And a lot of gases. Oh no! Even with speed, that thing died to queens. That's unfortunate. It was already weakened from an earlier fight, so... Yikes. 2 Disruptors go down. Warp Prism goes down. That's not just instant reinforcements. That's also any kind of backstab opportunities. Now the Zerg player says, well, you ain't gonna touch me, eh? Are ya? So... let's just attack. Where even the threat of a warp prism can mean a lot. And the mutas, they were not scouted, they were not confirmed. ShoWTimE is still building Phoenix very slowly. That might still be enough. And he rebuilt a Warp Prism instantly. Okay. Oh, but it's seen. Oh, no. 275 minerals down the drain. Ugh! It is 275 minerals worth of a scout.
Apparently you are doing something right, Captain.
And there goes the chrono on the Phoenix. But ShoWTimE has already lost so much momentum.
Received. Thank you.
Oh, but he's winning this fight, though. Oh, wow. The Archons just tanking all of them Banelands. Not giving a fuck.
Apparently you are doing something right, Captain.
And the Phoenix numbers are good enough to handle a low number of mutas, especially with the help of the Stalkers. Only 4 probes have gone down, and ShoWTimE actually took a pretty decent fight by the looks of things. So all in all, not bad. ShoWTimE, I thought, was going to be in a much worse position just because he wasn't actually going to be able to pressure Reynor, having lost the Disruptors, having to deal with the mutas, and then having Reynor kind of do the old 1-2 punch, right? Mutas over here, big old attack up there. It is not uncommon for Protoss to anticipate one, but then fail against the other. In this case, ShoWTimE did well against both. So Reynor has, of course, the resources to remax, so we're gonna have another attempt, but base, and ShoWTimE did a great job defending. 4 bases still saturated, and his army still intact. This is not at all impossible for him to even win the fight. Although pushing into this concave makes it a lot less likely. This is a bit dangerous to do. ShoWTimE knows it. Oh, beautiful shot with the Disruptor up there. And Reynor is not attacking with the full might of his army. Some of his Ravagers killed by those cannons over to the right side. Banelings still being formed. And now they are roly-polying in. We got that split from the Protoss, and so many of their units are just great at tanking Banelings in the first place. Immortals do go down, but the Disruptors are going to be saved, and some of those Archons as well. A decent number of Stalkers. Both of them dip down in supply. And while Reynor can obviously remax faster as a Zerg player with a healthy economy, ShoWTimE is not remaxing that fast, not because he's Protoss, although that's partial to it, but also because he was preparing his own transition. He actually already got a Fleet Beacon and a Stargate around the time the Mutas had entered into the play. He had already anticipated moving on beyond some of the mid-game back and forth that we were seeing in the previous games of the series. So it is actually going straight into that late game. Carriers will be out long before any Corruptors and Broodlords have been made, as the Broodlords... The Greater Spire is done, so the Broodlords could have been on the way. No Corruptors were made with that remax. Reynor is still all on the ground. The Carriers will pop out, and while 2 Carriers isn't really all that intimidating, they, of course, will deal with the pure ground forces of Reynor. 7 Corruptors are on the way. I do actually wonder if Reynor's going to instantly turn them into Broodlords. Did he? No, well, he probably saw the Fleet Beacon, right? Yeah, he did. His Mutas went right past it. So he knows about it. So the Corruptors shouldn't make some really funny mistake of turning into Broodlords immediately. The classic, oh, I overmade things that only attack ground. They should just be used to stop this carrier transition. And it looks like Reynor is taking an okay fight up to the top right, killing some of those really expensive units. But now we have revenge. ShoWTimE's Archon's actually getting those shots. Lings have gotten into the main base. Looked like they're going to do a lot more damage, but actually, even though they have +2 melee, they kind of got caught up killing a bunch of Zealots, so not much damage at all. And ShoWTimE finds stuff on 5 bases now with 82 workers. Reynor, he's got 86. He's got 6 bases, actually, but that gold is starting to mine out. And how the resource trade's looking. Typical PvZ fashion, he is the one losing out on more resources.
Apparently you are doing
Damn, all the
right,
resubs
Captain.
and new subs coming in at this point. Good old Corruptor Piss on top of that Stargate cancels one of those carriers. But I think at this point, actually, it would not be terrible for ShoWTimE to abandon it, the carriers for now. So not depend on moving over into mass air, right? But actually still play around more so with the ground reinforcements, because he's kind of starting to win it. All right, he's won a couple of these battles. And just with the idea of Protoss versus Zerg, every time he wins or does okay in a battle, his army gets better. His Archons grow in number, his Stalkers get more upgrades, whatever. That's pretty much it, actually. But his Immortals maybe get higher in count if he's still producing them. And that is supposed to be the better army against Ling Baneling Ravager, depending on if the Banelings get epic hits or not. So ShoWTimE can push that angle more than the air. He might still be having a good time. Disruptor's not going to get that shot, however. And the Corruptors are going to take out these carriers, so the supplies... not really where ShoWTimE wants them to be. He loses all those Archons as well, so the army is really not good enough. Reynor pushes that back with ease, actually. ShoWTimE, you know, a lot of supply gets caught up in the carriers, really wasn't contributing overall as it may have looked like, and then yeah, not actually able to push through. This is maybe going to be game. ShoWTimE also lost 24 probes, contributed to his supply loss. The carriers are not working out whatsoever anymore, and DTs are now being used to morph in those Archons. Means there's nothing happening on the other side of the map. ShoWTimE did delay this 6th base, which Reynor at this point needs. Main base mined out, Natural's trying to get mined out, and the gold base also about to be mined out. So Reynor, he's about to lose an adrenaline rush. He's probably like, yeah, let's go, let's win, right? He's bouncing along with his rap music, whatever the hell he's listening to, because he is on a roll right now. But if he doesn't get another base up, then he could quickly find himself pushing the issue. You know, suiciding 20, 30 Banelings and then not being able to replace them. So ShoWTimE basically has one more chance in this game to stabilize, but he's got to start stabilizing right now and letting Lings into his mineral lines and Corruptors into his base to kill more structures. Not exactly pure stabilizing right now. Looks like they got a Forge on a Twilight Council. ShoWTimE, though, I think he has that chance. I think he is going to max out again. Question is, what is he maxing out into? Yep. So Reynor You know, he could have made that mistake like I was talking about, thinking, yeah, let's just go, man, let's go. And not only would his economy eventually give out if he didn't get his base back up, but of course he is getting it back up. He also might have been, again, running into that theoretically superior army from the Protoss player.
Received. Thank you for a piece.
Takes a second. He thinks about it, and he's like, damn, Broodlords would be really good right now. And 100% that is true. He has stopped ShoWTimE from transitioning over into that air, and perhaps more importantly, he's also kind of smacked ShoWTimE for it. So ShoWTimE is now a little shy. He's like, oh, I guess carriers aren't a good option. Oh, okay, fine. But this should also be something that ShoWTimE has thought about. Whenever he doesn't see those corruptors, he's got to wonder what they are doing. He's got to figure that his opponent is actually on a hive and a greater spire, even though he hasn't scouted it because we're 17 minutes into the game, and he has been on the back foot for the last couple. So is he going to compensate? Is he going to maybe start up some Tempest? Nope. No, he is not. He sees the Broodlords. If this was like 6 Broodlords, he might try and push the issue because there's no Banelings prepared. This was actually a very mediocre army outside from those Broodlords. So sometimes the Protoss army can actually push through. 10 Broodlords would really be pushing it. That is a bit sketch. So he's going to back away, try and utilize now a more mobile force to run around the map, because the Broodlords do a lot of good. They also do slow down the Zerg army. But Blackburn seems like a good map, especially later on in the Blackburn, right? To go for Broodlords. It does tend to condense the map into like 1 attack path, maybe 2. And that's where Broodlords do really well. ShoWTimE, again, handling some of those Ling run-bys. Ooh, almost got the surprise pop on those Ravagers. And hey, we did end up having kind of a classic problem. Not enough air units, too many Broodlords. But ShoWTimE isn't getting any air army whatsoever. He is on his last army of the game. He tries to get a Tempest, and I guess it got sniped by these Lings. So no Stargate units, or he canceled it. Oh, okay, so it was over here. He canceled it, realizing it was gonna pop into an army and be totally useless. ShoWTimE, last life, last game of the series, YOLO across the map and hope somehow the Zerg player severely messes up the defense. Army supplies are even, but of course, a great question, how do you deal with the Broodlords? If you can, get rid of the ground army first, then the Archon Stalker Ball might take on the Broodlords alone. But already not going so hot. Stalkers unintentionally blinking into finishing Banelings. Most of them do die, although that last second split did mitigate that damage. This had to go better. I mean, I was talking like... When I was talking the situation up, you know, kill the ground army, take on the air army, I meant kill the ground army perfectly. You know, don't lose your Stalkers, don't lose your Archons. That was not perfect. And there was no way to really make that perfect. ShoWTimE's not going to give up, but the Broodlords are the greatest problem. And, you know, what really sucks is that Reynor is almost out of cash. So if ShoWTimE could have popped out 2 Tempests or carriers or something and hid them, they could have started working on the Broodlords, but... Now? I don't... He's gonna... I love that he's trying so hard, though. Hot diggity damn. Could try and recall right now, but what are you recalling to? Death. GG. G freaking G. ShoWTimE gonna lose out in the final game. Reynor takes the 3-2. Very close series overall, though. Fun PVZ for the final.